Welcome back to It's Not Just a Tuesday, the podcast where we talk about work, life, and the stories that connect us all. I am here today with my very good friend, Dr. Sandy Fiaschetti. She is a people consultant, an organizational consultant with Lodestone. I'm going to let her share a little bit more about her story and her journey in her career. But thank you so much, Sandy, for taking some time to chat with me today on this fun new little venture that we're going off into in the podcast world.
You're welcome. I'm glad to do it with you.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey in your career and the work-life balance journey that got you to today.
Like the short version of the history kind of a thing.
Yeah, talk a little bit about. I mean, I know the cool story, but I think your evolution in your career from corporate to small business owner now to working with the businesses that you work with is really
Mhm.
cool.
Okay.
And then I also I want to get into a little bit just the work that you do behind what makes people tick
Okay.
and connect with each other. So yeah, tell us just a little bit about the career journey.
Okay. So the short version of what's now a long career, it's a little embarrassing to say how long, is I'm an organizational psychologist by training, which means I study behavior at work and making behavior at work better. And started my career, I'm from Detroit, so started my career in automotive. And then went to consulting and then to a different automotive and then to a different consulting firm and then to a startup automotive. So it was this cycle of like automotive consulting. Um, had my own firm with a partner a few years back and then went inside private equity and spent a couple of years working with middle market companies instead of the large companies that I had spent most of my career working on. Um, and saw a sweet spot in the market, frankly, and saw that very few organizational psychologists had experience in private equity. And I missed consulting. So then I decided I'm going back to consulting and this time on my own and started Lodestone People Consulting in 2021 and have a great team around us and kind of never looked back after that.
I love it. All right, and since we are always talking a little bit about work-life balance
Mhm.
and your work is really cool, but so is your life. Um, talk a little bit about what was happening in the personal world while you were going through all of this automotive consulting.
Yeah, yeah, just a few things,
Yeah.
right? So married for I don't know, 30 something years,
A long
32
time.
years this year, I guess. And John and I have five kids. We had three boys the old fashioned way because that's what we knew how to do, and then really wanted a girl and decided to adopt a girl. And instead ended up adopting two. We wanted to adopt one 3-year-old girl and we ended up with a teenage girl and an infant girl. And yeah, that was going on while all those
Right,
consulting and automotive things were going on.
right.
So work-life balance was a challenge. I always tell people I couldn't have done it if I were a perfectionist.
Mhm.
Like you have to let something go, right? And I was letting uh, baking cakes for school events and caring about dust in the corner of my kitchen.
Right,
No, I
right.
didn't care about that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we had wonderful au pairs. We were able to have someone live in and help manage the house and teach our kids about different cultures because,
So
au pairs are students, right? They were coming from all over the place. And so our kids, much like our kids are from different cultures, our au pairs are from all these different cultures. And so that was also going on at the time.
I love that. Well, and I think, I mean, you and I are friends, and so I have been able to learn so much as my son is younger than your kids. I've been able to learn so much about what women in the workplace forget to tell other women. Like,
Mm,
we make it look really easy, and so I think we forget to tell people how we make it look easy.
yeah.
Like if the kids are happy and fed and work is going well, if you don't have help, you're probably fizzled out at both ends. But if you do have help, you don't always talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I love that, hopefully we're getting better at this. And certainly in this space, we're going to get better at it, is just saying, yeah, I have some help, or yeah, I don't care about the dust.
Hmm.
You can't have everything be great. It's the reason that I started this idea of it's not work-life balance. I say all the
Hmm.
time, work-life better.
Yeah.
Uh, there's
Yeah.
never going to be balance. I'm just
Hmm.
going to try to make today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today, or
Yeah.
maybe some the same, but just fine,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think we forget that. And I think we forget that all those pieces are part of why we also do the career journey usually. You
Mhm.
know, you and I both consult, and we
Yeah.
know that part of why we love that is because the flexibility it provides us to be able to have access to our families and control our schedules in a
Mhm.
way that you can't do any other way. Is it
Yes.
easier? Nope.
Yep.
It's just really different.
Yeah, and, in my field, we would say it's easier in that you have agency, and whenever you have choice and
Yes.
agency, right, it feels better. Even if it's chaos
Right.
that you own.
Controlled chaos is the answer to life, really, for me anyway. Um, all right. So I think the world of organizational psychology is so interesting because it really, whenever I hear you speak, I'm always realizing that you understand the science behind what we all see and do every day and what makes people tick. And when you get into a company or a business, big or small, it's a bunch of people who have
Mhm.
to work together in order to make something work, right? So, talk to me a little bit about, kind of what you see that professionals experience as they navigate business. What are the things that you feel like you really wish they were more confident in
Mhm.
as they do this work-life balance and develop their stories?
Mhm. Um, a few things come to mind. I mean, there are some executives I wish they were more confident in admitting they don't know everything,
Mm,
instead of blustering and putting on a show. I wish they would just be vulnerable and real and say, "I need the help," because to your
yeah.
point earlier, they won't a lot of times say that. So that's one that comes to mind. And I wish, maybe it's related to it. I wish people would recognize a little bit more that they have a unique specialty
Hmm.
that they should double down on, and
Yeah.
they shouldn't try to be all things to everybody. And the corollary to that is when you're asking for help, ask an expert in the thing
Yes. Yeah.
for the help, right? And instead of thinking like, "Oh, well, I'm a fantastic finance person. Of course I can do my own PR, or of course I know how to
Right.
hire people." Like,
Right.
not
No.
really, not
No.
really.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that we see that more in consulting than other fields because people come to us for the niche we do.
Mhm,
And we've decided on some niche, you know, regardless of what that niche is. And a lot of what I'm doing now is trying to get people to feel confident when
mhm,
we go to share our stories, whether that be social media or a resume or an email or a sales call. I think the confidence piece is what I'm always trying to get people to
mhm.
lean into, right?
Yeah,
You have to be confident in something, even if you're confident in what you don't know, but you're willing to learn,
yeah,
right? It's that empowerment feeling. And so, I've been finding kind of asking that confidence question is, and what is empowering people, or where do you wish people would feel empowered? Sometimes it is just the authenticity behind it,
mhm,
and I've worked really hard in my business and as anytime I have any type of platform to say I'm not all things to all people. I'm the first person to try to share good days and bad days
mhm,
because I think it's really important to see the humanity behind it,
mhm.
in that, because that's what connects us.
Yeah,
So I want to pick your brain a little bit and
mhm,
have you kind of give us some freebie expert advice today.
yeah,
um, this podcast is all about storytelling. My business is all about storytelling.
mhm,
And, you know, what is it in your professional niched down experience, what is it about storytelling that does the trick? What is
Yeah.
it that makes it the reason storytelling in marketing works, in
Mhm.
connection, in culture development internally and externally? What
Yeah.
is it from the real expert scientific view?
Well, it is what you said earlier, which is any organization is a collection of people. And so, at our core, to get existential for a minute, humans crave connection. We're either going to act out of fear or we're going to act out of love. And when we're doing that, it's all about belonging.
Mhm.
When we go back even evolutionarily, right? Like we are people who hang in a group together and so on. And so when you find yourself at work and people, there was a kick for a while of like, oh, you check your personal stuff at the door. Well,
Right.
that's ridiculous. Like it never happened. So for people to say that was crazy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work because we crave connection. And the way we connect is through understanding the person. And the way you understand the person is through knowing their stories. When we do work with executive teams, helping them build trust and figure out how to work well together, we always start with the story. Like we call it 3 minutes of me, but we have people talking about who they are. And 3 minutes is short, right?
Right.
But it's long in
It's
a lot of
enough.
business cases.
Yeah.
Invariably, people have worked together for 5 years are like, oh, I didn't know you had a brother who died in Afghanistan. Like now I get you and
Yeah.
why you might behave in the way that you are. And it's only 3 minutes, like multiplied by however many people. And if you don't take that time,
Yeah.
then you're selling yourself short because it accelerates business. So that's the power of stories in the business world, I think. It's all about the psychology of needing connection.
Right. Well, and I wonder too, what keeps us from that? Is it
Yeah.
that we don't want to show weakness, or is it that we're just still in the old mindset of we check our personal lives at the door? I mean, I think for most people, the pandemic changed that, right? Once you
Mhm.
saw a kid or a cat or
Yeah.
someone's kitchen in the background of a Zoom call, I think some of that had to be forced to
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But what is that, the fear or love driver that keeps us from thinking that that's part of professional life?
I think it's all of that, Andrea. I think it's those old broken tapes in our heads about checking the personal life at the door.
Right.
And there's this, in some ways, a little kid who's always like, well, okay, well, I know in Zoom, you were allowed to see my kitchen and my cat, but maybe you'll take me less seriously if
Right.
now, because now we're all doing return to work, which is a return to office, which don't even get me started. But even if you're on Zoom, right, it's this, oh, are we going back to an old way where we have
Right.
to be stuffier and compartmentalized? And of course, the answer is no. And I think another part of that is the people stuff gets messier.
Mhm.
And so you can pretend that the people stuff isn't there.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
true.
an easier path
Yeah.
to dealing with a situation on the front end, it is, right?
Yeah.
But to pretend those things aren't there just creates a time suck on the back end. Like you
Right.
wonder why you're not working effectively with so and so, or why a project derailed, or why this
Yeah.
change isn't going through. And it's because you didn't take the time to handle the messy people stuff on the front end.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I wonder if we just took that time. And I think the other piece of it is probably people don't have the capacity to deal with the people stuff, right? Which is why it's so important to find the expert
Hmm.
in the thing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
It's okay to say, I don't know how to deal with the people. So we need to have people who understand what culture looks like and bring
Yeah.
them in to help our
Yeah.
team. I
Yeah.
don't know what to say. I need to make sure I'm bringing someone in to help us with what that looks like.
Hmm.
Because you're right. Then you've got a team that understands each other even just a little better,
Hmm.
enough to work together in a way that is probably so much more productive,
Yeah.
actually getting some things done.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about the way that this works, and we've talked about this before, when I think about the way that the psychology of people's minds work in business and the way that we see that play out on social media, I mean, to me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the best all the time, everyday living, breathing case study of
Yeah.
just how people are, right? We gravitate towards people who seem like they're being so spontaneous with their authenticity and so spontaneous with their giving, right? With their
Yeah.
giving of information.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I try to teach people is that you just need to assume no one's ever being spontaneous. Some people actually are, and I think that's great. But,
Mm-hmm.
I said to you before, like, what is the psychology of a video going viral, right? Everybody wants to know, like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Most often, it is the human connection
Yeah.
of somebody feeling touched by that, and that global human something, right? It
Mm-hmm.
There are few people in the world who don't think kittens are cute. It is hard to not have that work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are few people in the world who don't feel some type of movement when they hear music.
Mm-hmm.
So put the two together, like it's just kind of 101 for human connection,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
storytelling and it's feeling. And so one of the things that I try to always help people with is what is the thing that you're trying to share that's unique. And if we don't go a little deeper, then we don't have that human piece. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where it's easy, I think, to get lost in the shuffle in social media or in any type of branding.
Yeah. And that whole assume it's not all spontaneous, I think that is so smart, Andrea, because what I see that's making me a little bit nuts on social media is like everyone is an actor all of a sudden. And you know
Mhm.
what? You're not all, actually.
Right.
And if you're not being authentic, then it all just looks and feels very staged.
Yeah.
Even if it's planful, like if someone's
Right.
working with you about getting their brand out there, they can still sound authentic. But
Yeah.
if it's like, oh, I saw someone go viral for, doing thus and such, I'm going to do it
I
too,
want to
that
do
is
that.
not going to work.
Right. Right. And I tell people that all the time. I also really am honest with, like, what does viral look like for you?
Yeah.
What's your capacity? Who is your audience, right?
Mhm.
So there's all those different levels in the strategy side of things that works for that, but even just in the connecting with people. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very probably, so or too transparent about the strategies that I've used to connect with people. I'm
Mhm.
honest about the fact that you will strategically see my son both on my personal and professional
Mhm.
content pages or social connection pages every so often. And
Yeah.
that the strategy behind that is not anything more than, one, he's cute,
Yeah.
and that will work. And not everyone wants to. You make a decision, right? You're in control of that
Yeah.
controlled chaos. You can decide, I never want to show my kids because I
Yeah.
want to protect them, and that is okay. Find the thing that is unique to you that you are willing to share.
And
You
what works for you sharing Lucas in your stuff, right?
know?
Because you use his name out there
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
say that, right, right.
You know I'm
Um,
good with that.
is you just capture him being Lucas.
Yeah. He's not
It's
staged.
not like, oh, go over and feed that hungry kitten. That's gonna get
No.
me some likes. Like that's not real.
Right. Yeah. And it's usually not in the moment, right? One thing
Mhm.
I tell people is document everything, right? When it comes
Yeah.
down to just capturing story 101, document
Mhm.
everything, look at it later. Live in the moment, just snap, snap, snap.
Mhm.
I mean, you and I will talk and then you'll say, "Oh, this happened. This was great." Pick or it didn't happen. That's a real thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Share it, whether you share it in 2 weeks,
Mhm.
right? But also the other part of it that I think goes to the internal culture is that people connection of, when people work with me, they're not just working with a PR person or a small business owner or a woman
Mhm.
or a minority woman or a wife. They're working with a mom.
Yeah.
And so they need to know that if I get a call from the school in the middle of a meeting, I'm picking that up, right?
Mhm.
And I want to be honest about that, you
Yeah.
know? that's how I'm going to attract the people who work well with me and
Hmm.
who understand who I am and kind of what they're getting, right? It's that you can't just do the thing someone else is doing because it's really false advertising,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, I think this is the second time today I've said this, but like what's hanging behind my chair and even my weird turquoise chair, it's all here intentionally because I could work with some very stuffy, high net worth financial people, right? In the work that I'm in.
Yeah.
But if you see a gaming chair and part of my PhD diploma and some pictures by my
Love
kid, and you are like, yeah, we want to work together, then we're going to work better together. But if I don't show you that, like, I'm not going to pretend to be the stuffy
it. Right.
suit. It's not going
Yeah.
to work.
That's, I think, like the simplest explanation of authentic branding. I'm probably going to say it every single time I record one of these. I wish
Mhm.
one day we will come up with a better way to say personal branding, authentic branding, thought
Mhm.
leadership. Until we do, that's what we have to call it. But that is it. That's you, right?
Mhm.
That is who you are, little pieces of who you are that make up the person that someone is talking to today and the person that someone is hiring.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a workshop last week or, a couple weeks ago. And at the beginning of it, I said, I'm letting you know now it's a social media strategies workshop. I'm not going to tell you how many times a day to post or what to
Mhm.
do. That's not what I do.
Mhm.
And I know that I'm in this great shirt up top. I'm in tennis shoes and leggings on the bottom, right? Like
Mhm.
let's be really real with the moment that we're in and honest with people because that's who they're going to get in the end, even if
Yeah.
we try to kind of cover it up on the
Yeah.
way. And I hope that people keep feeling more empowered in that. I think
Yeah.
that's what's going to be the thing that makes businesses grow. If you're getting hired for a new job, that's the person that you want to work for you, or you want to make sure that they know who they're hiring.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, or even if you just, I say, if you're just looking to figure out how to share your story more because you think you have a unique story to share, just be okay with the ups and downs of the story,
Mhm.
and be okay with thinking it through a little bit. All right, so it is your turn.
Okay.
It's your turn on It's Not Just a Tuesday for us to
Okay.
talk a little bit about how I do this. If you haven't ever listened to this before, the reason that this is called It's Not Just a Tuesday is because I do an exercise with all of my clients and in workshops that is talking about how to be empowered to share your story. And usually when you are trying to figure that out, the easiest step one is just to take a look at your calendar and see what's going on in your life. It's the best way to peek your mind into what am I sharing or what am I not sharing. The only thing that's really unique to you that's not part of me is your calendar, really. Um,
Mhm.
so I've asked you to share with me what's on your calendar from last Tuesday.
From last Tuesday, like a few days ago Tuesday or the
Either
week before.
either a couple of days ago Tuesday or last week Tuesday.
Well, I think both tell the story really. A couple of days ago Tuesday, I was out of the office. I was on college visits with my daughter because
Love
it
it.
could be on a
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yep.
But I was doing work the first couple of hours of the day because let's be honest, she was not up and touring schools at 8 a.m.
I love
So
it.
it had that blend on there. And the previous Tuesday, I went to the dentist in the morning and then banged out 4 interviews that were like 360 interviews for a coaching client. So I was getting input from the people who work around her. So I think both
Okay.
of those kind of tell you who I am.
Those are really good Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know because we're connected on social media, I know that you shared did you share some of the college tours? I don't think
I
maybe
don't
you
know.
didn't.
Maybe
Maybe
just
we might have just
yeah.
talked about that
Yeah.
offline. But one of the things that I always try to encourage people, right? And obviously we've talked about this before, is okay, what did you share from those Tuesdays?
Hmm.
What did you share to give people a glimpse? Whether it was professional or personal, right? If you are doing coaching and doing those 360 interviews, first of all, like, I don't know what a 360 interview is, right?
Hmm.
That would be an excellent thing to explain to folks on
Nice.
social media in a 2-minute video.
Yeah. I
Just,
love it.
hey, this is a 360 interview and this is what coaching looks like. I
Yeah.
did this today.
Yeah.
Did you know that coaching isn't always, it wouldn't have occurred to me that coaching is interviewing the people who work with me. I think you're just talking to me, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, as a business owner, as a company owner who is looking to figure out what coaching looks like for their team, what a
Mhm.
cool behind the scenes to
Yeah.
share what that looks like.
Yeah.
And just, find a way to give a little bit of, it's always the balance of, you don't want to give your secret sauce, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of times people will say to me, I don't want to tell people what we do because I don't want someone to copy it or my competition will hear it. And, I don't actually believe in competition. I know you don't either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it works for you. Some people do. Um, but what a cool way to show the behind the scenes glimpse at a Lodestone day
Yeah.
and have people feel what that looks like with a coaching client.
Yeah, I love that because we're all about saying we're human capital science and data. And
Yeah,
so we have all these objective assessments that probably you did know about, right? Because
right.
for coaching. And we want to hear the stories of what is this
Yes.
person like from the people who interact with them. And all
Yeah.
of that data comes together so we can help them when we're coaching them.
Yeah.
So you may see that post, everybody,
I
on
love
LinkedIn in a
that.
couple of weeks.
Yay, I'll share it so we can tell people how what a Tuesday can look like. Well,
Yeah.
and you shared a little bit about why the Tuesday with your daughter is so much a part of your story, right?
Yeah.
That people who work with you know, yes, I'm a PhD expert at this thing.
Mhm.
You might also get an email from my team on a Tuesday when
Mhm.
after I've sent something and said to you, hey, here's this, I'm handing it off to this person. They are capable. I'm with my daughter now.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is so important as somebody who, I mean, for sure for business owners, I think that's really important to be able to say, here's what this looks like. I'm really honest with people on the days when I'm stepping out in the afternoon, but I'll be back online in the evening, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the part of kind of going back to earlier in our conversation when we said, you're okay with the dust, you're
Mhm.
okay with, you asked for help, right? It's telling people what I do isn't easier, right? But I just kind of control what that looks like. And if you have, I think it's a blessing and a luxury to be able to control my chaos.
Mhm.
I don't take for granted any day that I work for myself. And I, we invest in that.
Yeah.
But being able to say, okay, I'm out of town but I'm still working and I'm
Mhm.
and I'm giving this time to my daughter. And what a cool thing to show our kids.
Mhm.
What a cool thing to be able to show people. Again, when I'm thinking about what we see on social media, I want to see more people sharing on social media. This is the juggle
Mhm.
because I want to juggle. No one's
Yeah.
making me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I want to spend time with my kids. I get to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real life part of it.
Yeah. And it's if you're listening to this and you're not a business owner, you might think, well, that's easy for the two of them to say,
Right.
right? They can control that. But I promise you, especially when I'm coaching executives who run large chunks of businesses and large companies, even, that there are absolutely spots where you can empower your team, where
Yes.
you can step away, and it's better for everyone. And kind of to go full circle on that story, today I happen to be meeting with that executive to give her
Oh,
feedback
cool.
after all those 360 meetings.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, so and so told me he talked to you the other day. And he said, 'Oh, your coach is really cool. I bet you're going to like working with her.'" And I said, "Oh, the funny thing is, though, I didn't actually speak to him. Someone on my team did. I
Oh,
did
yeah.
those
That's so
few on
cool.
Tuesday, but I chose not to do them all
Yeah.
because I wanted to be on that one day, I wanted to be with Lily at these school
Right.
things. So someone on our team named Megha did a fabulous job. And you don't have to do all the things that you think you have
Right.
to do.
Right. And you can still be, I think that's the other piece that about the team building piece, right? If you're honest enough to share with your team
Yeah.
how you work,
Yeah.
then they can do it without you, right?
Yeah.
What great
All, yeah.
communication to know
All
that.
I did was say, here are the questions you
Yeah.
ask him instead of me. Why do I need to do that? I don't have an ego need to be with the, whatever
Whoever
CTO
it
of
was.
blah, blah company. And it was good for her too, because she'd
Right.
never done it before.
So we're giving other people experiences.
Yeah.
We're giving other people access to stories and opportunity. I love that. Well, and yeah, not everyone's business owner, not everyone has a team. I say this even if you are working for someone, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just voicing
Yeah.
what the need is or what
Yeah.
the balance is. I think we don't feel confident always enough to say, um, there's this thing that it's important to me. Can I
Mhm.
do this here and then
Mhm.
accomplish something else here? You
Yeah.
know, and the answer could always be no. I mean,
Mhm.
or the answer could be maybe there's a shift, or, when you're looking for a new job, if you're in transition, what is the one that fills the needs of that life that you're looking
Mhm.
for, right?
Exactly.
And being honest about that. No, I think that's so great. Okay, I think we could be talking all day about
Yeah.
this, but
That's right.
I think probably people have heard enough about us
They probably have.
chatting
Yeah.
about things we love. Uh, okay, so thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking some time to do this with me on this new podcast adventure. I have said before, I will say again, in this world where everyone thinks they're an influencer and has a podcast, here's another podcast to
Yeah.
listen to. But thank you for listening to today's It's Not Just a Tuesday. I hope you feel a little inspired and a little more like you can share your story. And I will see you on another Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thanks.